Hello Mixtresses and Mixters, this is Mixtress Rae and you're watching Mixtress Video, and today we're going to do a little review slash walkthrough of the Moon Power Tarot by Charlie Quintero or Quintero, and we're going to do it an alongside comparison with the Smith-Waite Centennial edition. I do this with all of, if you don't know, I do this with all of my tarot decks because for me personally, whenever I am deciding whether or not I want to get a tarot deck, I like to, it helps me to see it alongside the deck that the imagery, most of us know the imagery in the Smith-Waite deck. The best and most tarot decks are sort of based on that. So I haven't seen other tarot YouTubers do this, so I thought it would be useful for the tarot community, so hopefully this is a good addition for you guys. I have this little tin out, basically. I feel like I should explain it, but just because I wanted something, usually I put like a crystal or something in between the two decks, but for this particular deck, this is my most I almost want to say lighthearted, but maybe lighthearted's not the right word. My most, this deck does not take itself seriously, and I think that is a good thing. This deck is not, I feel like this deck isn't going to give you a lot of answers necessarily, but it is, you're going to have a lot of fun with it, and it's going to be a different energy, and I think sometimes it's useful to have a deck that has some irreverence, some humor, some camp to it. This is a campy deck, and I mean that in the best possible way. So this is an indie deck you can get on Etsy. She has a website as well called Six Sad Girls, I think. This is just a pretty simple box that it comes in. And it's got, doesn't have a full guidebook, it just has this little fold out description with keywords. I like it though. I mean, it's simple, to the point. I'm glad at least something was included. And I will say, as far as the review is concerned, so here's the back. It's got like a glittery gold edging to it. I will say that it was a little off-putting when I first got this deck, because I believe what I was smelling, I'm guessing she probably hand paints the edges. I'm assuming it's like a spray glitter or something that she uses, because it was quite pungent the first few days after taking it out of the box. The smell has dissipated, but if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, you might want to just prepare yourself for it. You might have to just take it out of the box for a few days and put it somewhere where it's not going to bother you, because, I mean, I could smell it for days. And it might even be a thing, because her Etsy says something like she makes the decks to order. So sometimes it can take a little bit longer, but that might be a thing if you know you're going to be very sensitive to that, but you do want to buy this deck. It's possible. I don't know for sure, but maybe you can ask her to not put the spray paint on the edges. I don't know if that's something that you're sensitive to. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of a review on the cardstock. I will say, and I'm going to be struggling with this. In fact, I think I'm going to, because I know I'm going to struggle with it, I think I'm going to set it aside and just pull out one card at a time, because this is a very slippery deck. If she ever does a second printing, better cardstock would be very appreciated, because it's thin. That part doesn't really bother me, but it kind of gets stuck like it'll get stuck in one position or another. I am sort of breaking them in. It's getting a little better, but at first it was just sort of like when you set it down, it was, I don't really know how to articulate what I'm saying, but it just sort of like will get stuck and, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, it's very shiny, not great quality, and it's super slippery. So I don't really like the cardstock. That said, I mean, this is an indie deck, true indie deck. Like, this person is making these all by hand and putting them out herself. So I don't know how hard it is to find great cardstock or how hard it is to do my own deck. So I really can't criticize that because I don't know what she's going through, and it's probably, you probably have to go through a lot to self-publish your own deck. So like I said, this deck is very, it doesn't take itself seriously, and you get that right from the very beginning with this Fool card. And it's, you know, it is very much like a 90s MTV vibe, which makes sense since her website's called Six Sad Girls, which is obviously, or you might not know, but it is a reference to Daria. And it has that vibe to it. She did a great job making a deck that really reminds me of that Six Sad Girl or Six Sad World reference for Daria. So the art is very, this deck is, if I had the art skills that she has, I would, in high school, if I had the skills that she has now, I would have made a deck very similar to this. So this deck is almost nostalgic for me, even though it just came out like a year or two ago. So let's do my little walk through here. Oh, I will say I have altered this card a little bit. I added the green that's in her hair with a Sharpie, and it looks like it's wet, but that's just the way it dried, and I kind of like it. But for some reason, this Magician card, her being blonde, kind of bothered me. I don't know why, but it did. So I added the green to make her look a little bit swampier. And I think it almost looks natural, right? Don't you think? Maybe we can try doing like a little pile of cards at a time, but they are very slippery. Okay, here's the High Priestess. I like her little kingdom of crystals. This is, I like to think about like what kind of guides you might be working with the deck that I'm working with, and this deck is I would say alien guides or guides from another planet or another world. Obviously, these are all supposed to be creatures that exist on the moon. She's creating a new deck right now. If you follow her on Instagram, she is going through it really quickly. Like, she's putting out a new card every day. I mean, I don't know what the process is like once she has the cards ready, what it's like. What, you know, I don't know if there's like a release date anytime soon. Probably not, because she just started it a couple of weeks ago. But interesting that the Hierophant card is like a coven of women. I like that. This more reminds me, and the lovers, of course, can be any like close relationship. For some reason, this reminds me of like a mother and daughter. Keep picking up the wrong stack of cards. This is one of my very favorite Chariot cards, actually. The idea of riding a rat makes me incredibly happy. I like that. Look at that guy. Doesn't he look like a fun chariot? Don't you just want to ride on that rat? Then he goes straight into riding a lion. I do like this Hermit card quite a bit. And she's reading a book called The Hermit. I wonder if there is a book called The Hermit that she's directly referencing here. This Wheel of Fortune is pretty cool too. How she kept the same type of wheel, which I know, is this a Kabbalistic thing? I don't know what these symbols mean. I definitely need to look into that. There are a few cards in her Moon Power deck that follow really closely to the Smith-Waite imagery. This Temperance card speaks to me. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. I love that there's the yin-yang symbol in it. Yeah, this is working. Just doing a little section at a time here, so I'm not dealing with the whole deck sliding around. Are these cards, they seem like they might be a little bit smaller. Again, they're not. Isn't that interesting? For some reason, I always think that this deck is bigger. Maybe just because it's taller. Oh. Slide and slide and slide. It's a beautiful Tower card with the crystal. Her use of patterns, it almost looks like she uses like some kind of like, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. The way that she uses patterns is really interesting to me. I'll point it out when we get to some of the figures. She's got the little scorpions on her outfit there. And it's Cancer, right? Cancer symbol. I love the sun. The sun is like, you know, goth makeup. Kind of sort of sour sun. This is a really cool Judgment card too. Very Stevie Nicks vibe. Not sure what it says about the actual symbolism of the Judgment card, but I do like it. The wands in this deck are, I think this is a Sailor Moon reference. I haven't actually ever watched Sailor Moon, but it's really striking. And I especially like this wand card because I also have a heart tattoo in that same placement on that same hand. I really like it a lot. And again, she used imagery that is very similar to the Smith-Waite. And that, oh, the pink and the blue. This is definitely by far my most like whimsical deck. This doesn't, whereas the Shadowscapes tarot is gentle in its approach to the subjects on the cards, this deck is more just like, it invites you to allow yourself to not take anything too seriously. Like, I could see myself having a really hard time and turning to these cards and just being able to, and these cards helping me just laugh about it as I'm going through a hard time, being able to laugh about it. And I think that's important. one of my favorites too. She's coming apart at the seams, but she's sort of growing back together. Okay, here's one of those that where it looks like, you know, she's like taken maybe a picture of an actual fabric and made it into a dress. I don't know, I just really like that effect. She does it on several different cards and I really like it. This to me looks like a raven, but it's a pink raven. I love the knights in this deck. The knights are almost always these like astronaut type women. This is another deck. I don't think there are any men in this deck, which, as I've said before, I am totally okay with that. She does keep pretty true in all of the aces to the original, the Smith-Waite imagery. I like how you're sort of able in this deck to go beyond race and color, because none of the women in this deck have white skin. They're all, you know, blues and greens and purples. Again, I have two separate decks in which the Three of Cups are mermaids. I'm okay with that. That makes sense to me. The first time I was going through this deck after getting it, Michael noticed this card and he was like, "That's you." So let's pretend that this is what I look like right now, when in actuality I'm in my pajamas. This one's interesting because it brings, you know, sort of a drunken element to the Five of Cups. You know, you're so sad, you're in your cups, I like it. Martinis. You definitely get that feeling of nostalgia just by the fact that she has it just like this bright yellow face with roses on it. The imagery on this one I haven't completely wrapped my brain around yet. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I always forget, like, which one is this? What's the Seven of Cups? Which is exactly why I have this reference point here, because that's what helps me. I have to pull out my Smith-Waite whenever I'm getting to know the imagery of a deck. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this for you guys. This is one of my very favorite cards in this deck. I think she is so... I just love the look on her face. You know, she's got the cups in her hair. And there's this crochet pattern on her dress. I'm just completely into this. She does look like... She does... I mean, this portrays the same... evokes the same feelings that this card does. You know, she has everything. She's totally secure. She's kind of side-eyeing you because, you know, she's sizing you up. Like, do I need to be involved in anything else? I think I have everything I need. I don't think I need you. I love it. One of my very favorites. This one I like a lot too. She's again, you know, it has the same, it evokes the same feeling for me that this does, even though this is super strange. This is the strangest deck I own, but in a good way. This Knight is great. Also, the Shadowscapes, the Knight of Cups has a unicorn on it. I think she probably was a little bit influenced by Shadowscapes, if I had to guess. Unicorn / Pegasus in this one. And I like that the cup is just like overflowing. That's the thing about the Knight of Cups. Can't control her emotions. There's a lot going on in this card. There are a couple of cards in this deck that like you can really spend some time looking at the detail. I like the way she did the clouds. I don't even understand how she did the clouds, but it's cool. This is interesting that she chose to do almost the same image with very small variations, such as there are little symbols on the swords. You can kind of see her eyes under there too. Never noticed that before. I love this Three of Swords. Three of Swords, every single one of my decks that I have, they do the Three of Swords very well. Like, I don't think I've ever been disappointed in a Three of Swords card. And these swords have little pinnacles on them. Hello, focus. There you go. Upside down. Well, I guess it'd be right side up if the sword was pointed upwards. This card I have a little bit of trouble with because not the image itself is not, like, I don't dislike the image itself, but since this card is supposed to be kind of about taking time out, you know, taking a day off, resting, I don't really get that from this image. That said, it is a nice image. I kind of enjoy this one. Taking your snake on a journey. You've got your little belt of swords. So you're carrying your baggage with you and you're going somewhere. This one's really evocative too. Even though I have said that this deck doesn't take itself too seriously, it still says what it needs to say. This is definitely one of my top 5 cards in this deck. Another one you can completely fall into. I like the idea that she's tied up by her things. She's tied up by her habits. Like the Fiona Apple lyric, I don't want a home, I'd ruin that. Home is where my habits have a habitat. And you can really get up in there and you can see the titles on all the VHS and the games. She's got a boombox. She's tied up in the tape coming out of VHS. How perfect is that? I think somebody said in a different video, this is a Doctor Who reference right here, but I don't know Doctor Who. But I still get a lot out of this card. Again, yeah, it doesn't take itself seriously, but it says what it needs to say. This is not, this is not like a card that wasn't thought out. This was thought out very well. Gorgeous. Oh, I love this Ten of Swords. I love it because she's not all the way off her feet yet. You know, I get the impression from this that she's still stumbling along. She's bleeding out and she could die at any moment, but she's still going. Oh, I love it. Another great astronaut lady for night. Hey, they're facing each other. Maybe they're about to duel. Oh, hey, I didn't notice until now that her crown has the butterflies on it like the Smith-Waite version. That's cool. It's a nice little throwback. This is a really cool Ace of Pentacles. This is like the only one that she changed up from the Smith-Waite. But man, look at that. This is another one of my favorites. Just the fact that these, what are these creatures? They're so long and spindly, and look at their hands. And it's still got the infinity symbol. This is another one of my favorites. In fact, this might be my very favorite Six of Pentacles from any of my decks. I like that she's keeping this for herself, but she's giving this away. And it mirrors. She's keeping for herself as much as she's giving away. In fact, most of my decks, I have to remind myself of what the Smith-Waite version is, but when I'm looking at other decks, I remind myself of this card, actually. This is my definitive Six of Pentacles. Really like that. This one's interesting. She's got like two sets of eyes going on, or does she have two sets of eyes drawn on her eyelid and her eyelids are actually closed? I don't know. Interesting. Second reference to Hitchhiker's Guide in this deck. There was another Don't Panic in the, what was that, Seven of Wands, I think. Not sure how I feel about this one. This one seems really sad to me. These people look sad because of those eyebrows, man. Every time you draw those eyebrows on, you look sad, even if you're not. I like this knight, but it kind of confuses me that she has this big sword. I mean, it's fine that she has the big sword, but just immediately upon glancing at it, you don't necessarily get pentacles from it. But look at that makeup. Yeah, that's some great makeup. Great Queen of Pentacles. I get kind of a Beyonce vibe from that. Which I always get a Beyonce vibe from the Queen of Pentacles. If I made my own deck, it would probably be kind of like a pop culture type deck, and I'm pretty sure Queen of Pentacles would be, Queen or King of Pentacles would be Beyonce. Maybe King. All right, well, there you go. That is the Moon Power Tarot deck. Let's go ahead and shuffle and pull a card. I don't really have a good surface to shuffle on right now. I'll just have to do the hand over hand method a little bit. See what feels like jumping out. Okay, this one's wanting me. Two of Pentacles. Okay. So I hope that helped you guys decide whether or not this deck is for you. It is a little bit more expensive just because it's, you know, it's an indie deck. It's self-published on Etsy. So definitely a worthwhile endeavor if you're at all interested. I got lucky with this deck because my mom was staying with me while she had just bought a new house, and she was like getting some stuff done at the new house before she moved in. Like getting the floors redone and painting and all that stuff. And I was watching a review of this deck on YouTube, and she came in the room and she started watching it with me, and she was just like, oh my god, you need that deck right now. You need it right now. I'm buying it for you. I was like, but Mom, it's kind of expensive. Like, you may not want to do that. And she's like, no, you have to have it. That deck is you. So it's really great when you get a tarot deck as a gift. It just makes it even more special. So I'm really glad to have this one in my life. I would like to spend just a moment promoting some stuff at the end of this video. This series I am doing, I'm not sure how often I'm recording them all on the same day, but they're probably going to go up like a week apart from each other. I'm just sort of counting backwards, showing you all of my tarot decks. So this particular one I got, by the time you watch this, it'll be a few months ago. But as of the recording of this, it is mid-February. I got this deck about a month ago. So I haven't had it in my life for too long. And then you've already seen my Shadowscapes Tarot, which as of the recording of this, I got 2 days ago. And my Marigold Tarot deck, which I got yesterday as of the recording of this. So we're just going back. So the next one in the series, I am going to show you my Wild Unknown Tarot deck. And then after that, I'll probably do one on the Smith-Waite, even though I show it in every single video. I might still do an overall walkthrough of that, even though everyone knows that deck. But if you would like to, I have other things, just check the description notes for links to my weekly radio show, my Patreon, and my website, and also my podcast, which is a Buffy recap podcast, largely. I review every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer 20 years after its original air date, which means there are like summers and other times in which, because of the nature of the podcast, I don't have Buffy episodes to review, but I always do something. So it's pretty much an almost weekly podcast even. So I will review movies or other stuff if I don't have a Buffy episode to talk about. And again, that's called What's This Bitch Talking About? So I hope you guys are having a great day and week and month and year and all that stuff.